the seed packets. Hey y'all, Jessie with Living on a Prayer Flower Farm. Today I'm going over tips and things that I learned going into season 2021 for the flower farm. So let's talk about some things that I've learned. Our inflatables out there, Christmas tree and Santa. But one of the things I've learned is all the flower farmers on YouTube said, don't buy all the seeds. You're gonna want to buy all the seeds. Don't buy all the seeds. Well guys, did I listen? Oh no. I bought all the seeds. Bought them all. And you know what I learned? Nobody ever follows that rule. Everybody buys all the seeds. So first thing I'm going to tell you is you're going to buy all the seeds. You're going to want to buy all the seeds. You're going to be told don't buy all the seeds, but you're going to do it anyway. So go ahead, buy all the seeds that you love and that you think are beautiful. Just be prepared to feel a little overwhelmed. Be prepared to make a spreadsheet of some sort to keep up with all your seeds and to be prepared to store them, because odds are you're probably not going to plant all the seeds unless you do something dumb like I did, which brings me to tip number 2, which is you just dump the packet in the ground. Don't do that. Don't dump the packet out on the ground. You need to do your best to individually plant each seed. If you're just starting out, you're like me, you're not going to have a seed feeder, so don't just pour the packet out. You need to be aware that some of those seeds are very small, and then you need to meticulously plant each one individually, as otherwise you're going to have to thin them out. And some of them are not going to survive. Some of them do not like to be thinned out, period, and they're just all going to die. So learn from me. Plant each seed individually. Don't just dump the whole 200 packet thing of seeds out. Doesn't end well. So the next tip I have for you is spacing. Make sure that you space these plants out far enough. These plants start off really tiny and then they grow. Yep, they grow. Did you know plants do that? Let's see, this year, going into 2021, I have how many types of zinnias? Let's just see. Looking at my spreadsheet. Oh, this one doesn't do it. $23 different types of zinnias this year is what I'm planning on planting. And zinnias, I have learned, really need to be spaced properly, or you're going to be dealing with black spot, powdery mildew. Unless you really want to spray constantly, you need to space out your zinnias. So these babies are going to be spaced a minimum of 1 foot apart each plant. And I'm wanting about 4 or 5 plants each. So that's about 100 zinnias I got to plant. But they are all going to have at least 1 foot spacing each. Otherwise, they're just too crowded. They're fighting each other. Some of them had weird heads that are like that. It wasn't good. I got a few great ones, but I couldn't pick as many as I wanted to because I didn't space them properly. They weren't able to grow completely straight, even though I had netting. They do recommend get some netting for your zinnias. Another tip right there, netting. You need to be able to support these plants, especially if you're living in Louisiana like I am, where we have hurricane type winds all the time. Well, not all the time, but you get really strong winds here, and the netting really helped the plants stay upright. Besides Hurricane Laura just, just smashed them on top of the netting. So sad. But netting. Invest in a good staking system. Invest in some netting, because you're going to want to place the netting for your zinnias about 1 foot off the ground so they can go up and through it. I had mine placed up like 2 feet too high. So lesson learned there. Don't do that. Make sure it's low enough so that your plants have plenty of room to grow. My next tip would be, and I still haven't done this, but get the soil tested. So you're not playing the guessing game of what does my soil need. I'm going to get that done one day. Garden Answer actually has a great video on some soil testing kits. I'm going to do that before next year. It's about to be December. By the time this video goes up, it will be December. So maybe I'll get that done this month. We'll see. But yeah, get the soil tested. Know what you're working with. Know what minerals and everything that you need to put into your soil so that your flowers have the best opportunity to grow. Next step would be to amend the soil. I have at least done that. I've worked on doing that. I told my husband that for Christmas I wear size cow manure or O'Neill Farm and Gardens, our local farm and garden store here in Ruston, because I need some amendments. We have clay, this red iron ore gross clay. It's horrible, and when it's dry, it just compacts and it's just hard as a rock. But when it's wet, it just becomes this thick mud, and it holds onto water, onto moisture for forever. Makes it very hard to work with. So I've been slowly adding in cow manure and peat moss to help fluff that up. The peat moss will help break up that clay, keep it nice and fluffy, while the cow manure will help, you know, fertilize the plants. I've also been putting in gypsum. Gypsum's a mineral that helps break up hard dirt, but that takes time. And I just started it back in July, so it hasn't had enough time to really do what it needs to do, but we'll keep adding it. So by the year 2022, I'll have maybe some great soil. We'll see. I hope so. But you get what you put in. My poor snapdragons, between planting them at the wrong time and then not putting them in great soil, you get what you put in. Whereas my Mrs. Burns lemon basil, which is my favorite basil, if you need a filler to grow, grow that. Mrs. Burns lemon basil. Oh, I love it. It smells so good. But I planted it where I had amended with cow manure and peat moss a good bit, and it took off. I mean, I had plenty. Which brings me into another tip. When you're planting cut flowers, if you're planning on arranging those cut flowers, you may want some bouquet fillers. I started off the season with lots of zinnias and flowers and no fillers. I had 2 basil plants. That was it. The dill didn't come up. Baby's breath just died. Oh, that's going off. And don't judge me on my messy house. Sorry. The Roomba was going off. But, what was I talking about? Oh, jeez, it just... Oh, fillers. So, yeah. I had all these flowers and no fillers. You know how hard it is to make arrangements when you have all flowers and no fillers? So I ended up just going through the pasture and finding weeds so that I could cut them and put them in the arrangements. And, you know, it worked. It worked for the time being. And then I decided to correct myself. And Hurricane Laura hit. And then I had all fillers and no flowers. All I had were sunflowers and zinnias. And the sunflowers were completely destroyed, and the zinnias weren't much better off. And by that point, I was like, you know what? I give up for the season. It's September. It's about to start getting cold. I give up. But you know what? The weather stayed so warm, and it just now got cool outside, where I could have probably still been harvesting flowers if I would have went ahead and planted more. But I had this beautiful row of Mrs. Burns lemon basil, like 50 plants, just blooming in all their glory. They're gorgeous. I ended up ripping them out, and that's where my daffodils are right now. But yeah. So make sure you have plenty of fillers to go with all those beautiful flowers you're going to grow. I know myself, when I was choosing seeds, got so distracted of, ooh, this flower, ooh, that flower. Oh, I love that flower. Let me put that in my buggy. And then before I knew it, I've got 80 flowers and no fillers to go with them. What am I going to put with these? I could go outside and maybe harvest some pine straw. Don't think that would look very good in arrangements with zinnias. But, so yeah, make sure that you definitely invest in your fillers. The fillers are what's going to set up the stage for your beautiful flowers. Without fillers, you just got flowers. And if you're planning on selling these, you're going to be selling bouquets for way more to help make up for all the flowers that you have to put in there because you have no fillers. So make sure that you invest in those fillers. Another tip, learn your frost dates. When is your average first frost in your zone and when is your average last frost in your zone? Ours is sometime in December, and today, December 1st, 2020, we got our first frost. If I still had left zinnias in the ground, they would all be dead. Every single one of them would be dead today. But we got our first frost. Look how beautiful. Oh. It is so cold. It is normally not this cold in December. But hey, this happens. I hope my binoculars are doing okay. We'll find out. Let's see. New camera system. Testing it out. Let's go look at my binoculars. Oh, it's so cold. It's so cold. Oh, take a look at this. It is frozen puddles. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. Oh, gee, it cold. Oh yeah, they are covered in frost. But binoculars are supposed to be hardy, and it only got down to like 28, I think. It only got down to 28. We'll see what happens with these binoculars. I hope that they'll be okay. If not, well, lesson learned. But I really hope they'll be fine. Really hope they'll be okay. You see these roses? Look at them. If they frosted, does that mean they're going to go dormant, I wonder? Because I need them to go dormant. Because I really want to put them at the front of this bed. So I need to dig them up, but I can't dig them up till they're dormant. So we'll see what happens. I feel bad for all my plants that never made it out of pots. This may be what does them in. So when is your first frost date? Tell me in the comments. Let me know if you have had it come way earlier before and how that turned out. See you in the next one. Bye. The seeds are mine. This is going to be a pain in the rear to clean all this up. Let's see. This would have been easier if I had my husband home. Open some more. Surrounded by the seed packets. Just, you know, it's Wednesday morning before work, laying on the floor with a bunch of seed packets. What do you do in the mornings? Ready? That didn't do too well.